Hello everyone, welcome back again to Oliveboard's regulatory body. Today we are going to start our third live class, which is ARD Static Lecture 1. So for ARD this is your lecture 1, but as you all know, in this 30-day rigorous YouTube program, which is booster batch, which is free for all of the Nabard aspirants, you have already completed government schemes, right? After that, even you will be also having quant classes, and now we are starting with our ARD static lecture. Okay, so before starting our lecture, please subscribe to our Oliveboard's regulatory channel, where we are bringing you premium and top quality content, which is very helpful for your regulatory bodies exam preparation. Let's start with our first question, which is related to our ARD. Okay, now all the questions I have not randomly selected here for this particular ARD lecture 1. Okay, so here the difficulty level I'm already telling you, it's easy to moderate. All the questions which have been selected, these are from those topics which have been in news for last 2 years, and most importantly, this is not some random questionnaire which we have just picked it from here and there. This have been specially curated because when you will try to solve these questions, you will understand that definitely these are the questions which have very high probability to be in the Nabard exam. So this is nothing but try to give it as a test. Make it an active learning or maybe solving process, so that we are not just here that I'll come here, I'll read the question, I'll read the options, and I will then only personally tell you the answer. I don't want the session to be in this way. Rather than that, let's make it a session of active learning. Okay, so you in the comment section, in the whatever discussions live you can see here, try to give the answers whenever I'm reading a new question. Apart from that, I'll ask you further other questions which are related to the topics, and that also you can mention in the comment section. This would be a good way of interaction as well as learning through different important questions which we expect in the upcoming Nabard exam on 16th October. Let's start our session, that is question number 1. In January 2023, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare granted non-exclusive right. Non-exclusive right in the sense, these are not exclusive. If these rights are given to one particular body or organization, then even the other bodies or organization would have certain rights to do that particular activity. These are non-exclusive. For commercial production of a particular vaccine which was related to an important disease last year, that disease is lumpy skin disease. When I talk about lumpy skin disease, this disease is nothing but, this disease happens to cattle in the states of northern region of Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar. In these states, lumpy skin disease was too much in news. So almost whatever cattle were there, they were fighting as well as they were going through this epidemic of lumpy skin disease. As this disease was so much in news and it is as directly related to our animal husbandry chapter, let's try to solve this question. The simple extra information is given at the top, where non-exclusive right was given by Ministry of Agriculture to an institute named Institute of Veterinary Biological Products, which is located in Pune. But the question asks that which of the following statements about lumpy skin disease is not true. So what does it mean? It's nothing. For vaccination, as lumpy skin disease, all we may be knowing a basic information. It's a disease which it's caused because of virus. Now for virus, we all know there is no any treatment, there is only vaccine. So therefore government gave permission to the Institute of Veterinary Biological Products, Pune. Apart from that, other institute also developed their vaccine. The vaccine developed by this institution was named Lumpy Provac. Now let us read some of the options so as to know which of the following statements related to lumpy skin disease is not true. First, lumpy skin disease is a contagious viral disease of cattle and buffalo that causes relatively low mortality. Okay, let's consider these statements. It spreads to human while coming in contact with affected animals. Now the first statements, I think it is correct. Why first statement is correct? It's simple. We all know it is a contagious disease. It was happening and it was spreading rampantly within the cattle community, between cows, between buffaloes. We know this for sure. Also, we know that low mortality was there. There were very less incidents where because of the lumpy skin disease, cattle were dying. Am I right? बहुत ही कम ऐसे इंसिडेंट्स थे जहां पर कैटल मर रहे थे लंपी स्किन डिसीज की वजह से. पर क्या लंपी स्किन डिसीज की वजह से ह्यूमंस अफेक्ट हो रहे थे? नो, दिस disease can spread only in cattle, not in human beings. If there was any particular news of spread of lumpy skin disease in humans, then definitely we would have known about it. For example, now the biggest epidemic was nothing but your coronavirus, and it was specially in news. So whatever diseases, zoonotic diseases are happening, they are always in news. So if lumpy skin disease which was related to cattle was in so news, if really it would have been affecting humans, we would have known about it. So therefore I will choose that most importantly this B statement may be wrong. Why I am saying may be wrong? Because I have to yet read the rest of the statements. Lumpy skin disease has been reported in India from 2019, and this is really true. Why? After 2019, the incidences of zoonotic diseases overall world have been increased as well as have been measured and have been kept into the ledgers. National Center for Veterinary Type Culture, which is again institution in Hisar, in collaboration with ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Veterinary Research Institute at Izzatnagar, has developed homologous live attenuated lumpy provac ind. So if this Institute of Veterinary Biological Products Pune has developed lumpy provac vaccine, then these two institutes have invented lumpy provac ind vaccine, and this is live attenuated in the sense what, that whatever virus is there, that is alive, but it cannot attack the human body. So it is live but it cannot attack. And the last option is none of the above. Looking at the all of the options, I think that the answer here, I am sure that the answer is B. Yes, the answer is B. Here you could see all the information has been given. So the department, whatever Ministry of Agriculture is there, it has Department of Agricultural Research and Education. Under that DARE, okay, that it is also called as DARE, under it there is a private institution which is Agrinovate India Limited. Such private institutions are always brought so that they look in, as a PPP, they look into the research as well as capital investment, the infrastructure and developmental activities which would be developing agriculture as well as bringing growth in agriculture, improvement in agriculture, and government need not to extend in its arm in the research and infrastructural projects. So this is nothing but government extending its private arms. Okay. Now this body gave the non-exclusive rights to this Institute of Veterinary Biological Products Pune. Okay, and apart from that, the two institutes from Hisar and Izzatnagar, they also developed their second vaccine, that was lumpy provac ind. Okay, let's know something about lumpy virus. It has definitely low mortality. Symptoms, if I tell about lumpy virus, it's nothing but you could see such nodules or such poxes, okay, such pox or such nodules on the skin of the cattle. Okay, so similar to chicken pox, this is also a disease. It happens in cows, buffaloes, and it does not affect humans, which we have already seen. This happens because of a virus. The name of the virus is lumpy skin disease virus. The genus is Capripox virus, and the family is Poxiviridae. This family is the same family of chickenpox. Okay, same family as of chickenpox. It is transmitted by the insects or vectors, which are mosquitoes, ticks, and other flies which drink blood. And while doing that process, they transfer the virus from one animal to other. If you see the symptoms, fevers, nodules on the skin, it has fatality also, but the mortality rate overall within the community of the overall cattle, buffaloes and cows, that is much more less. Then what happens because of the lumpy skin disease? The productivity of the cattle is reduced. As the productivity as well as health of the cattle is reduced or maybe decreases, automatically the dairy industry as well as the animal husbandry which is associated with the agriculture, that also activity decreases. And overall productivity of the farmers who are heavily dependent on the allied activities like animal husbandry, dairy, right, using animals for draft purposes in their fields, they are also getting affected in their agricultural activity. So this was in news, and this is how one question we made, which was based on current, but we framed it in such a way that we got good information about it. Now after the vaccination which has been given to the cattle, The vaccination holds strong for 1 year, after which you have to again give the vaccines to the cattle. This was all about the first question. Let's see about the second question. The Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee GEAC has approved commercial cultivation of GM mustard. This is first genetically modified crop of the country to get approval in 2 decades. Question is, GEAC works under the aegis of which ministry? Now I'll make it very clear to you. Whatever hybrid crops are there, or whatever crops are there which are made up through biotechnology, example BT cotton, okay, then BT brinjal, and now GM mustard, okay. Apart from that, even golden rice you would have heard. So such whatever hybrid crops are there, those for certification, or maybe those even for being approved for commercial plantation in the country, in India, there is one committee which looks after this approval and certification, and that is GEAC. So for example, GEAC gave permission to the non-edible crop like BT cotton, but at the same time it discarded the commercial plantation of BT brinjal. What were the reasons? Simple: phytosanitary, sanitary, as well as health aspects in future which were damaging ecology also, as well as human physiology also. Therefore, BT brinjal was cancelled. Similarly, in 2002, where GEAC gave permission to BT cotton, almost for 20 years, GEAC always discarded all edible crops which came through the BT route, BT or maybe GM route, that is genetically modified crops. After 20 years almost, now GEAC has given or approved the GM mustard crop. But at the same time, there is again controversy related to it, because this acceptance of GM mustard has been not accepted by some states like Haryana, Rajasthan, Punjab, as well as Maharashtra. They are still having certain doubts, and therefore the implementation or maybe even the follow through of this acceptance of GM mustard has become difficult. This was the overall current affairs related to this particular important news, and now we see that this GEAC committee is under aegis of which ministry. Now simple logic you can apply. GEAC makes it sure that whatever hybrid crop or whatever genetically modified crop has to be approved for commercial planting, it should not harm any of the animal or life, as well as it should not harm the environment as a whole. Therefore, it will come under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And the answer is also same. The secretary, it is chaired, whatever GEAC as a body is, it is chaired by Special Secretary or Additional Secretary of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The committee is responsible for appraisal of proposals which are related to releasing genetically engineered organisms, plants, hybrids, etc. Okay. Apart from that, after 2002, GM mustard has been approved by GEAC. More dimensions if you want to pick, you can definitely search more about GM crops. In comment section, tell me what is BT, full form of BT in the BT cotton. And this BT cotton is immune to which type, is immune to the attack of which type of pest? What is the name of that pest? Okay. Now let's move forward. Which of the following agricultural investment portal is being used by Government of India as integrated, centralized and one-stop portal or one-stop solution for all the agri investors to avail the benefits of the government scheme? So as we all know, for various agricultural activity and development, the government's reach is limited, and that is why private sector as well as some investors have been pushed or maybe have been nudged by the Indian government in the agricultural sector, so that there also in agricultural sector there is a dire need of investment. Now these agri investors, the government has brought one of the portals, okay, in which this would be a single window and one-stop solution in which all the agri investors can take benefits from the government schemes. It may be various schemes related to enterprise, related to loans, etc., etc. And this question here, you cannot apply any of your hack, any of your logic. So certain questions are there in Nabard exam where those are so factual, so statistical and such named that you cannot actually use tricks and neither hacks to solve them. Either you know them or either you don't know them. If you don't know them, please move forward, because this is not your 10th and 12th exam to get 99% or 100%. This is a competitive exam. You just have to do bare minimum. That is, you just have to clear cutoff. Let's move forward. The answer here is B, Krishi Nivesh. So nothing else. The answer is Krishi Nivesh. This is the portal, which is the one-stop solution portal for all the agri investors or agri businessmen to come at this portal and take the benefits from the all government schemes. Here all the government schemes would be clubbed on this portal. The next question is related to ENAM. Now you will say that, sir, ENAM, National Agricultural Market, Electronic National Agricultural Market, it's a so old scheme. Why we are reading it now? But again, I told you, everything has a reason. Look at the statements and let's try to read. Oh, okay. Okay, let's try to read. So the question says, which of the following statements are correct for ENAM portal? The first is in January 2023, that means recently, this year only, ENAM, a flagship initiative by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, has received Platinum Award in Digital Empowerment of Citizen category in the Digital India Awards 2022, which were held in New Delhi. Now do you understand that why we took this question? Because ENAM recently was in news. Next is, as on 31st December 2022, more than 1.7 crores of farmers have been registered on ENAM portal. Very important fact. Such facts are very, very favorite for Nabard exam. Okay, Nabard always loves to put concepts and along with concepts to put such data. Okay, and then you say that, sir, so much data came, so much stats came, how to decide that, how to revise that. Always go for looking what are the different topics which are related to agriculture and rural development which are in news. Okay, now let's move towards the third statement. ENAM was launched on April 14, 2016 and it's implemented by Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium under aegis of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. When I look at it, I think that here all the statements are correct. So yes, E is the answer here. 1, 2, 3, all the statements are correct here. Why they are correct? Simple. Yes, ENAM got award, that's Platinum Award. It's not Gold Award, it's not Diamond, it's Platinum Award in the Digital India Award 2022 held in Delhi. Apart from that, if you see 1.74 crore farmers and along with that 2.39 lakh traders have been registered till 31st December 2022 on ENAM portal, which is a very good fact. Apart from that, if you see, ENAM was first launched in 14 April 2026 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and it was implemented by the organization Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium, which is again under the aegis of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Next comes a question which is again related to a scheme, but why this scheme was in news, I will let you know. Okay. Now again, this is also a very old scheme and important from agricultural point of view. In February 2023, Union Minister of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, he said that an additional area of dash has been covered under protected cultivation, including greenhouse structures towards the horticultural promotion. For example, as we all know, when we are growing the horticulture, automatically we do understand that horticultural crops require crop protection. Why? Because they are more prone for pest attacks and disease spread. So therefore here, whatever area is there that is covered under the scheme of Mission for Integrated Development of Horticulture scheme between the years of 2014-15 to 2021-2022. So as the scheme is being concluded, the Union Minister had said that additional area has been added under the protected cultivation, including greenhouse structure. What is that area? So the answer here, again, see how facts are given here. You cannot pick one or other. You cannot use tricks, tips. Either you know or either you don't know. The answer is 2.51 lakh hectares. This is your answer. This much area has been added as a protected cultivation, which includes greenhouse structures. What are different greenhouse structures? Greenhouse structures, shade net housing, walk-in tunnels, plastic tunnels, anti-bird, anti-hail tunnels, plastic mulching. All these are your components of these structures which are under Mission for Integrated Development of Horticulture. Other thing is that the pattern of assistance, if you see, 50% of maximum permissible cost for greenhouse structure, shed net house and walk-in tunnels. The total area of 4,000 square meters. Then plastic tunnel, anti-bird and anti-hail nets and plastic mulching again has 50% of maximum permissible cost, and the area has been also given here to be 1,000 square meter. Then for anti-bird it's 5,000 square meter, and for plastic mulching it's 2 hectare. Okay, so this again was in news, that is why we took this question. Now a question which is based on startups in agriculture. According to Economic Survey 2023, again a recent data, agri-tech startups have raised around dash over last 4 years from private equity investors. What do you mean by that? For development and investment in agriculture, of course we are pushing agricultural startups. For example, Jugadu Kamlesh in Shark Tank, we all know, right? From that, the agri-tech or agri-startups have been booming in the country. So now for those agri-tech startups, we need investment. That investment has been taken up from the private equity, which has resulted into a growth of 50% per year. Okay, so which is really a good sign for the agriculture. But how much is that total sum which has been raised in last 4 years from the private equity investors? And that is 6,600 crores. Solution is C. So to support the agro startups, agricultural startups, even the finance minister has launched agricultural accelerator fund. Apart from that, economic survey also says that total sum of 6,600 crores in last 4 years has been raised from private equity investors by agri-tech startups. Okay, and in the country right now there are almost 1,000 agri-tech startups right now. Okay, so let's move forward. Which of the following statements are true about land reforms in India? Now one more thing I'll tell you, land reform is also associated with agriculture and also associated with rural development. Now try to understand, we'll read all the 3 statements and we'll try to solve this question. Okay, very important concept. The purpose of land ceiling was to reduce the concentration of land ownership in few hands. What is land ceiling? It is the maximum amount of land that could be holded under ownership by an individual. That's it. So it is maximum amount of land. That means what? Here government is trying to have equilateral distribution of property as well as land. Article 3839. Okay. Now that, which is again a DPSP. Now this question also may come in your ESI section. So try to look at the topic from different dimensions. More well versed and well knowledge you would have related to that particular subject. The abolition of intermediaries, that is zamindars, was meant to ensure equity in land holdings. Of course, where zamindars had pulled all over the land and ownership over them, the abolition of all the zamindars was nothing but redistribution of land among the community. And last is post-independence land reforms in India were successful in achieving the desired objectives. The first 2 statements are correct, but the third is absolutely wrong. Why it is absolutely wrong? We all know that land reforms were a novice idea, were a very good as well as one of the great reforms for the country. It was one of the noble steps taken by the government. But did they work? No, they didn't. It failed miserably because of various reasons. First, because of the resentment of zamindars. Second, the zamindars which were having political affiliations, this resulted into states. Various states did not effectively executed these land reforms which were instructed by the central government. So therefore, because of this, though it was a novice and noble idea, but it was not executed properly, and that's why it failed miserably. You could see here, statement 2 is correct. It's nothing but ownership of land. The zamindar abolishment was done so that the ownership of the land as incentive would be redistributed within the population. Statement 1, land ceiling, is nothing but fixing the maximum land size. And statement 3, which is incorrect, that is nothing but abolition of intermediaries. This led to failure of the implementation of the land reforms. You could see that there were various states who didn't had the same commitment, okay, to execute or maybe to follow that land reforms in the country. That is why land reforms failed. Then comes a subjective question. In plants, dash is the process of shedding old or unwanted organs such as leaves, flower, floral organs and fruits. So wilting you all would be knowing about, drying of the leaves. So similarly, a process of shedding your leaves, your fruits, your flowers, that process is called as abscission. It is called as abscission. Other than that, other options are also there. Please search them and try to get information about them also. That is also how you can understand different terms. In agriculture and rural development, various terminologies related to horticulture and plantation, animal husbandry, fisheries, soil, as well as forestry are very important, and Nabard loves to ask such terminologies. Dormancy is nothing but to prevent the growth, okay, or temporary suspension of growth, okay. Abscission, as I told you, it is shedding of old leaves. So it is shedding of old or unwanted organs of a plant. Apart from that, let's move forward to the 9th question. Okay, when I talk about 9th question, it is a type of farming that can reduce soil erosion as much as 50% from up downhill farming. That means hills or mountains are the areas in which we are doing this agricultural activity. In this agricultural activity, almost soil erosion is reduced by 50%. Okay, we got that. It increases water infiltration along with additional yield. That means what? When you do this type of agriculture, your yield increases, and along with the yield, water infiltration also increases. Therefore, options have been given and we have to choose which type of farming system is it. Mixed farming. I think yes, mixed farming definitely had some advantages from the farmer's point of view, but this is not the answer. Seasonal farming is again not the answer. Slash and burn farming, unsustainable activity, not the answer. So answer here is contour farmings, and generally contours are there on hills and mountains only. So this is how contours are there. So in this way contours are there. You could see here, look at the image. So contour farming is done on the slopes of the hills. It involves plowing and planting and weeding along the contours. That is, when contours or extended flatlands are created on the slopes of the mountain, on the same flatlands the farming is done. They are kept at the same height. Okay, contour lines run across the hill slopes, and the field are also kept along the same line. Okay, apart from that, they reduce the soil erosion by 50%, and this is very important. Okay, and when the yield increases, automatically its water infiltration also increases. This is one of the sustainable way of agriculture doing in mountainous and valley regions. Let's move forward. Which of the following statement is not true with regards to Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana? Now again I will tell you, one of the oldest schemes related to irrigation and water resources chapter. Okay, again important core scheme of agriculture and rural development. Now why we took this news? Again, as we all know, I already told you this is our first lecture. We are expecting here simple to moderate question. Let's read the statements. Krishi Sinchai Yojana was launched in 2015 for the period of 5 years and for the corpus of 50,000 crores. This is absolutely correct. Accelerated irrigation benefit program, Har Khet Ko Pani, and watershed development program are the 3 components of the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. That is true. Okay, but what about this? Was the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana extended to 2022 to 2027? Is it true, the number of years? Now that we are going to see, but let's read the further options. Under the scheme, the micro irrigation is incentivized through subsidy to ensure per drop more crop. Okay, I think C is also correct. And the scheme is supervised and monitored by Interministerial National Steering Committee, which is under the chairmanship of Prime Minister himself. That is also true. And E, all of these are correct. Now all cannot be correct because this is wrong, I think. Okay, now I am just assuming that this date may be wrong. Let us see that is the date wrong. So yes, the first statement was correct and the second was wrong. And why it was wrong? Look at it. Yes, I was not sure that it's 21 to 26, but I knew that 22 to 27, that somewhere the examiner may have played. So here you could see the answer here is your B, because the year was wrong in the second statement. And yes, it is headed by Interministerial National Steering Committee by the chairmanship of Prime Minister. Okay, the theme is per drop more crop, and more importantly Niti Aayog is there who looks after the implementation allocation of the resources. 11th question, in poultry during the process of hatching of eggs in incubation temperature is usually maintained at. So for hatching of eggs, what is the normal or optimum incubation temperature for hatching of eggs? Previous year, in the year of 2022, the total period or days required for hatching of the eggs were asked, and those days are 21 days minimum. Okay, after which the eggs hatching is done. So therefore such hatching of the eggs, gestation period, these are very, very important from agriculture and rural development point of view. The answer here is E. Okay, here you cannot assume something, tukka वगैरह यहाँ पर मत मारना. Okay, so here the answer comes E, 37.2 degrees Celsius to 37.8 degrees Celsius. So here the question which we saw, the process of hatching. Okay, here the incubation temperature which we mentioned about, the incubation temperature which we mentioned, that the answer, as we all know, it is 37.2 degrees Celsius to 37.8 degrees Celsius. When I talk about it, if you see incubation temperature, the optimum temperature which is required, it is 99.5 to 100.5 degree Fahrenheit. That is equal to 37.2 degrees Celsius to 37.8 degree Celsius. Now this is the optimum temperature. Now if the temperature is lower than the optimum temperature, it will result into underdevelopment of your embryo, and if the temperature is higher than the optimum temperature, it will hasten your embryonic development. Both of these lower temperature or higher temperature than optimum temperature will always affect the embryonic development and result into physical deformities, and therefore you could see that optimum temperature is very essential for the eggs hatching in the poultry. So let's move forward now. Then comes, which of the following statements are true with regards to cropping pattern? When I talk about cropping pattern, okay, cropping pattern, cropping system, a very important chapter in context of ARD. When you look at it, cropping pattern, when you see three statements have been given, and let's read those statements. Intercropping is growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field in definite pattern. So intercropping, when I talk about, it is growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field, okay, and that too in definite pattern or definite arrangement. Okay, so that is your intercropping, and we all know about it. The growing of different crops on same piece of land in pre-planned succession, it's called your, so for example, here look at me very carefully. This is your Kharif season, this is your Rabi season, this is your Zaid season. Now suppose I am a farmer. In Kharif season, if I am planting rice, okay, okay, that in Rabi season I am planting wheat, and in Zaid season I am planting cucumber plus your watermelon. So now look at it very carefully. After rice I am planting wheat, after wheat I am planting cucumber and watermelon, and then again I am planting rice. This is a cycle of crops in which the choice of crops, the selection of the crop is pre-planned or predetermined, and as this cycle, this rotation, it is nothing but your crop rotation. So therefore this is your CR or crop rotation. So second statement is also correct. The mixed cropping reduces the risk and gives some insurance against the failure of one major crop. So always remember, what is mixed cropping? It is nothing but planting two or more crops on the same field but in random arrangement or random pattern. Here the seeds are also spreaded on the field by broadcasting method, and here more importantly two or more crops are planted all together on the field. If the main crop goes into failure because of various reasons, maybe climatic factors or maybe other reasons, okay, at the same time you are having secondary crops in the mixed farming, right? So in this mixed cropping, not mixed farming, mixed cropping which we say, in that if the major crop is going through a failure, then the secondary crops which grow along the main crop in mixed pattern, these will prevent or reduce the risk, and this will give some insurance against the failure of one major crop. So this is the advantage of mixed cropping. Then the solution, if you see, all the three statements are correct here. You don't need to see. We discussed all the three statements, broke them down to understand that all the three statements are correct. Statement 3 is correct. Why it is correct? Yes, mixed cropping. What is mixed cropping? क्या है? Two or more crops simultaneously grown on the same field in random arrangement or random pattern. There is no any arrangement. Whereas if you compare it with intercropping, it is growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field in definite pattern, in definite arrangement. Intercropping, various types are there: double cropping, triple cropping, strip cropping, parallel cropping. These are of definite arrangement. Statement 2 is correct. Why? Because if you are planting or if you are choosing certain crops or growing different types of crops on a piece of land in pre-planned succession, as we discussed in this example, rice, wheat, cucumber, watermelon, this is a pre-planned pattern. This is called as crop rotation. So depending upon the duration for which a particular crop is planted, crop rotation is done different for different cropping combination. For example, here the combination which I told you, this is one of the North Indian peninsular cropping pattern. Rice in the monsoon season, wheat in your winter season, that is Rabi crop, and then in Zaid or summer season, cucumbers and watermelon. Okay. Let's move forward. Moving forward, which of the following nutrients has maximum mobility in soil? So here again, soil chapter becomes very, very important for all of you guys, as the input to output ratio of soil is very, very high. So lesser input you are putting, maximum output you will get. Okay, why? Because soil chapter you have been already well versed and introduced in your 10th, 11th, 12th standard. Okay, it's a basic science you have learnt. So definitely you just have to read more about it. Here mobility is nothing but movement of your nutrients. So according to the movement, there are three types: very mobile, moderate and immobile. Very mobile nutrients, nitrate, nitrogen, sulfate, sulfur and boron are some of the very mobile nutrients. Moderately mobile, ammonium, nitrogen, potassium, calcium, magnesium and molybdenum are your moderately or intermediate mobile. Immobile, that means which are static and which do not move from one place to other, those are organic nitrogen, that is atmospheric nitrogen, phosphorus, copper, iron, manganese, zinc and other metals. So in this way, very mobile, moderately mobile and immobile, these are the nutrients which are based on movement. Which of the following statements is not true about soil health card scheme? Now again, a very important question based on soil health card. When I talk about soil health card, the tagline for soil health card is Swasth Dhara Khet Hara. Now this is true. Okay, soil health card is one of the flagship schemes of Nabard. Even if you go on Nabard's website, you can read about it. Now again, we have taken this flagship scheme and we have to find out which of the statements is not correct. First statement is correct. Soil health card is printed document issued to the farmer once in 3 years. Now this is also correct, because whatever the certificate or whatever soil health card document is there, that is validated for only 3 years. After 3 years, you have to again give the soil samples. Then the third, the soil health card includes nutrient status of the soil with respect to 18 nutrients. Now this is where I feel that this statement could be wrong. Now why this is wrong? Because 18 nutrients, I don't think there are 18 nutrients, there are only 12 nutrients. Then soil health card includes fertilizer recommendation, soil amendments required for the farmland, etc. That's correct. And all the farmers in India, all farmer community is eligible for the soil health card scheme. So it is a universal scheme. You don't need to have a particular land, you don't need to be marginalized, you don't need to have lower income to avail this particular scheme. The answer here is C, as we all know. Its theme, of course, and tagline is Swasth Dhara Khet Hara. Other than that, validated for only 3 years for their land holdings, and only 12 nutrients are there, not 18: pH, nitrogen, potassium, sulfur, phosphorus, zinc, electrical conductivity, manganese, copper, organic carbon, boron and iron. Okay, all farmers in India are eligible for soil health card scheme. Which of the following statements are true about MG Narega scheme? again, now MG Narega is also one of the old schemes, okay, but still I have included such easy questions because it's just our first class. So I don't want students to get disheartened. So these are some low hanging fruits which you should be knowing about. It is a social measure that guarantees right to work. Yes, that's correct. Under the scheme, local government will have legally to provide 100 days of wage employment in rural India to enhance their quality of life. That's also correct. And Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat approves the shelf of work under MG Narega and fix their priority. That's true. The implementation of MG Narega and to give the work to the community, that is the role of Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat. Here B and C and then ABC, and the answer according to me, of course, it's ABC. I think all the three statements are correct. Let's check. Yes, E is the answer. MG Narega was launched in 2005. Remember that. Guarantee of 100 days of employment, and now even extra 50 days are also given. Okay. Apart from that, Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat looks after the shelf of work of the MG Narega, and it guarantees right to work. In the comment section also tell if right to work is there, this right will come under which article. Okay. Then which of the following statements is not true about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana scheme? This scheme is nothing but PM Kisan. Okay. It is a social security net scheme. It is a social security net scheme for whom? For only small and marginal farmers. Okay. So small and marginal farmers, they don't have enough income. So therefore, each farmer, this Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana will provide social security net for the small and marginalized farmer in the way of pension. Okay. As farmers do not get enough returns from their agricultural activity, this is a type of pension. Under this scheme, minimum fixed pension of 3,000 per month will be provided to the eligible small marginal farmers. Okay. On attaining the age of 60 years. On the attaining age of 60 years, the entry age for the scheme is 18 to 50 years. Now, I think look at it very carefully. The first two statements were of course correct. Okay. After 60 years, you are going to get 3,000 payment. Okay. In installments. Now, this entry age 18 to 50 years, I don't think this is right. I think it should be 18 to 40 years. But let us see, I may be even wrong. Okay. The beneficiary, if you see, 100 rupee you have to contribute per month if you join this scheme at a median entry at the years of 29 years. So if you take a median entry, in the sense what, now after 18 years you didn't join, but after the year of 29 you joined this scheme, then you have to pay 100 rupees. The benefit of the scheme shall be available for a minimum period of 20 years. So lock-in period here is 20 years. Now try to understand why this PM Kisan, this question I chose. Of course, this is very, very important from ARD point of view because this is a pension scheme, first time ever at national level, which is associated with farmers. Now, similar two schemes are there. PM Kisan was the scheme which was launched by at the national level, but it took inspiration from two schemes. One scheme is Kalia scheme, which is again a social security net scheme in Odisha, and second is Ryotu Bandhu scheme from Telangana. Now, all the three schemes are definitely social security net schemes where they also give some lump sum amount to the farmers, but at the same time, all these three schemes individually, their features, characteristics are different. So read them properly. Okay. Even the stakeholders of the scheme or benefiters of the scheme are different. Okay. Where PM Kisan is only restricted to small and marginalized farmer, Kalia and Rohiti Bandhu have different beneficiaries. Read them. It's very, very important. So what is this scheme? It is nothing but way of pension, as these farmers, small and marginal, they have minimal or no savings, and when they retire, they don't have enough sum for their sustenance or their livelihood. Therefore, these schemes become very, very important. 3,000 per month they would be getting after attaining the age of 60 years. Other than that, entry year, now I was definitely correct here, 18 to 40 years is the entry age, it's not 18 to 50. 100 rupee per month you have to contribute if you are entering at the age of 29. And apart from that, you will get a fixed pension okay, of 30,000, and this scheme shall be only available after minimum period of 20 years. Out of total irrigated land in India, approximately how much land is under micro irrigation? In context of irrigation, water resources, okay, cropping patterns, land holdings, you should know statistical data related to these terms. Net irrigation area, gross irrigation area, okay, micro irrigation area, you should have all this data. That is why this important question I have taken. 9%, 12%, 15%, 19%, 31%. There is no any solution here that you can use any hack trick to just find out the answer. The answer here, if you know, you can give the answer. If you don't know, you have to skip the question. The answer here is 19%. Let's read and try to understand. The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare in 2021 gave some data that net irrigated area in the country is 68,649,000 hectares. So, in total, it's 68,649,000 hectares. Okay. Second thing, the agricultural land covered under micro irrigation is 12,908,000 hectares. And from this total micro irrigation, the drip irrigation is 6,112,000, whereas the sprinkler irrigation is 6,796,000 hectares. So the total whatever irrigated land in the country is 19%, which is purely under micro irrigation. Micro irrigation in the sense under the drip and under the sprinkler irrigation. I hope all these data you have understood. These data are very, very important. Which of the following are main crop and trap crop respectively? When I talk about main crop and trap crop, what is a trap crop? Simple. Whenever, if this is your field, and if this is your main crop, if this is your field and if this is your main crop, to prevent your main crop, to protect your main crop from the pest attack, okay, from the insects attack, what you can do is that you can plant a secondary crop which will be on the borders of this main crop. And what this secondary crop does is that this is a trap crop. So this crop, secondary crop, it attracts the insects, the pest on itself, and thus those insects do not attack your main crop. And therefore your main crop is healthy and remains protected or immune from the pest. Examples have been given and you have to choose which is the main crop and trap crop. Cotton chickpea, cabbage tomato, soybean potato, corn, carrot, sorghum, cotton. Answer here is cotton and chickpea. 2 days before only I took the lecture in our crash course at Oliveboard of cropping system and cropping pattern, and I stressed on this example. Please, examples you definitely have to remember along with the concepts, very, very important from exam point of view. Trap crops are grown as a control measure to lure the pest away from cash crops to protect it from the attack. Okay. Pests are either prevented from reaching the crop or concentrated at certain parts of field away from the main crop. So here if you see the example, see here in this particular region the cabbage is planted. Here cabbage is planted and beside the cabbage the turnip is planted. So there is one pest which is named as yellow margined leafed beetle. Now this beetle loves the leaves of cabbage, but at the same time turnip also has attractive green leafy leaves on its top, whereas turnip is under the ground. But these leaves are of no use. So therefore these turnip leaves are there, they attract this leaf beetle, and that beetle doesn't attack the cabbage leaves. Cabbage leaves remain protected and immune, and that insect destroys the upper leaves of turnip. Later you can remove the turnip from the ground and this cabbage leaves are also remained unattacked from the pest. Okay, so in this way this is your trap crop. The example, cotton is your main crop and chickpea or lobia is your, not lobia, chickpea, okay, chana jo hum kehte hai, is your trap crop. Okay, so this was all about trap crop. Principle of trap cropping lies on pest preference for certain plant species. For example, certain pests attack only certain plants because they are attracted. Okay, which of the following statements are true about agricultural mechanization in India? Okay, so as land fragmented land is increasing in India. So fragmentation of land, that is a huge problem. What happens because of the fragmentation of land? As fragmentation of land goes on increasing, automatically here the inputs or intensive inputs which we are trying to put into the agriculture may be in form of implements, equipments, technology, mechanization. Those become very, very difficult when you are trying to instill in your agriculture to increase the productivity. Now the problem is, as because of the fragmentation, the application of technology and mechanization becomes very difficult. Therefore, government has brought this scheme, that is submission on agricultural mechanization. Okay, this scheme was launched in 2014-15, which is a correct statement. Yes, it was launched in that year. It aims to promote, so for example, under this scheme, two important institutions are set up. One is custom hiring centers and high-tech hubs of high-value machines. Now, why these two institutions are there? For to offset the adverse economies of scale arising due to small and fragmented land holdings and high cost of individual ownership. As lands are getting divided and the total land holding size is there, that is reducing, overall cost of agriculture is also increasing because of that. At the same time, you cannot even instill the mechanization as well as apply economies of scale on such fragmented and differentiated land. Though people are doing the same agricultural activity, but there is no unity and they are spreaded because of the fragmentation of agriculture as well as lower size holdings. Now, because of that, the custom hiring centers and high-tech hubs for high-value machines have been set, so that here the technology transfer would be there, land pooling would be there, and at the same time here economies of scale could be established in context of agriculture. Improved agricultural implements and machinery is essentially important for modern agriculture, so that it will increase the productivity of the crop, reduce the human drudgery, that is whatever human labor we are using, it is also waste of the physical labor. Okay, and at the same time the cost of cultivation is also increasing, that also we have to reduce. So overall, whatever this mission is there of mechanization, it is to enhance your productivity of the crops, reduce your labor drudgery, as well as improve your profits and reduce your cost of production. I think all these statements are correct. So therefore the answer here would be E. Statement 1 says about this scheme being launched in 2014-15, which is correct. The objective, if you see, to reach the farm mechanization even to small and marginal farmers. Even though small and marginal farmers are having very less land size holdings near them, still giving those land, providing those land the mechanization and equipments and technology. Statement 3 is also correct. Statement 3 is all about that how agricultural implements and machinery is essential input for modern agriculture, which would improve the productivity of the crop, reduce the total human labors which are used in the agriculture, and cost of cultivation also could be reduced. Statement 2 which was there, it was all about the institution of custom hiring centers and high-tech hubs of high-value machines, which will actually add economies of scale in the agricultural activity and therefore improve the overall agricultural productivity. Whatever fragmented land holdings are there, they could be brought under one umbrella, and high cost of individual ownership is there, that also could be reduced. Okay, so overall this is what this particular submission on agricultural mechanization means. Which of the following statements are correct about tea cultivation? So tea cultivations following, there are some statements which are there, tea cultivation. Okay, so let's read the statements. First is your tea is a labor intensive crop. Yes, tea requires lots of labor. Why? For plucking the young leaves of the teas. So if you see Assam, if you see Darjeeling, if you have ever visited the Darjeeling tea which is done on the contours of the hills, the slopes of the hills, you will see that many women are used in as a labor for the tea plucking. women constitutes over 50% of total workforce in tea cultivation. Now this could be true because yes, major of the labor for plucking women are only used. Tea gardens are usually set up on cleared hill slopes where shade trees are planted in advance. Now let's try to understand some concept. Tea, if you see, it's a rabi crop or temperate crop, you can say. When I talk about tea, it requires high rainfall, but at the same time it requires humid climate. It requires humid climate, but along with proper sunlight. Proper sunlight. Apart from that, the tea plant does not survive in the waterlogging condition. Why it does not survive waterlogging condition? Simple. If the waterlogging condition is there in the tea fields, then the roots of the tea they get rotten. So that is why tea is always planted on the hill slopes, so that whatever water flow is running, it would not create a waterlogging condition on the plains. So that is why you could see the tea plant, it should have the roots in dry condition. Okay, so overall no waterlog condition, ample amount of sunlight, but at the same time it also requires cool and shady place. Tea plants grow well in cool and shady place. These are the certain requirements or climatic requirements for the good health and growth of the tea cultivation. So here see, it's set up on cleared hill slopes. That's true because waterlogging condition is not required, and the shady trees are planted in advance. That means these bigger trees will give shade to the tea plantation. So all the statements here seem to be correct. Therefore my answer would be E, which is A, B, C. All are correct. And here yes, E is my answer. It's a labor intensive industry. Why? To pluck the leaves. Women laborers are almost large in number, and they are almost 50% of total labors. Tea plantation is done on cleared hill slopes where shade trees are planted in advance, and these shade trees do nothing but give shade to the tea plant. Okay, so this we have done. Let's move to the next question. Now before coming to this question, try to understand what this question is all about. This question comes from agroeconomics. In previous 2021 exam also such question has been asked related to tractor economics. Tractor economics, that means agroeconomics, one or the other time one difficult question always comes. But if you use logic, you can definitely solve the question. That tractor question also 2021 of the Nabard Grade A phase 1 could be solved through logic. So here also let's try to find logic. What is gross cost ratio in farm management? Gross cost ratio in farm management. Let me first explain you what is the difference between gross and what is the difference between net. Gross, suppose you are having 10,000 salary. Okay, total salary which comes in your hand, that is gross. Suppose 2,000 you give rent, 1,000 rupees you give it for your food, and 1,000 rupees for your traveling. Overall, the expense which you did was 4,000. Therefore, your net income became 6,000. So this is the difference between gross and net. Gross is anything which comes in total in your hands. After removing the expense, whatever in total, after the deductions, whatever remains is your net. Let's try to understand and apply the same logic here. Gross cost ratio. If I want to find cost of anything, if I want to find the cost, first thing which I will try to find is how much money I have spent or expense, okay, or spent, and how much in total gross income I am having. Gross income. Okay, so gross cost ratio would be, of course, your expense upon gross income. So look at it, the answer comes to be D. Okay, total expenses upon gross income. One more thing here I'll add. Total expense, suppose total expense upon gross income. Try to understand, gross cost ratio gives you total expense upon gross income. Imagine that I am a farmer and my total expense for my sugarcane farming, suppose I am a farmer and I did sugarcane cultivation. Suppose I spend, okay, my total expense was 3 lakh rupees for a year in my sugarcane cultivation. After taking that product, sugarcane, and after post harvesting and selling it into the market, I got 6 lakh rupees. In total 6 lakh rupees. Now leave that, I have to pay electricity, I have to pay for resources, I have to pay for my debt, leave those, because in gross you will only see what is the total income you got, right? So total income or gross income is your 6 lakh, total expense is 3 lakh. 3 upon 6, 1 upon 2, which gives you 50%. So look at it very carefully, gross cost ratio, it gives you the thing, but the ratio of input you have given and reciprocating how much output you have got. For example, in this case, I gave 1 unit input and I got 2 unit of output. Therefore, my gross cost ratio is 50%. Always, if gross cost ratio is less than 1, that means that your agricultural activity is profitable. So, if I am putting 1 input and if I am getting 2 as my output, it means that my efficiency is twice, right? My profitability is twice. I put 1 unit, I put 3 lakhs, I got 6 lakh. Of course, you can see here, my profit is double, right? So here you could see, this is nothing but gross cost ratio shows your profitability. Lesser the gross cost ratio, more is your profitability. Solution is of course D. Here it is given total expenses upon gross income, okay? Let's move forward. In water erosion, the detachment of soil from the soil mass occurs when? Now again read the question properly. They have asked about in water erosion, okay? So raindrop splash on soil surface, correct. It results into detachment, it's correct. Second, forces exerted by water flowing across the surface, yes, it is correct. And forces exerted by wind on the soil surface. Now remember, they already told you that we want just about water erosion. Then why we are talking about wind? So therefore, even these forces which are exerted by wind on soil surface, it results into Lewis spread or transportation of finer granules or particles from the soil which are eroded. But this nowhere results into detachment of soil, and it is moreover not the part of water erosion. So therefore, my answer is both A and B. Solution E, if you see, here we are looking at water erosion, okay, where erosion happens under it in 3 types. Water erosion, if you see, the detachment of the soil occurs in 2 ways. Which are those 2 ways? First is raindrop splash, that is how rainfall water falls and it results into splashing of soil surface, and forces exerted by water which flowing across the surface or runoffs. This also results into detachment of soil, okay. Apart from that, transport of detached soil, okay, transport of detached soil by flowing water first occurs in thin sheets of runoff flowing over the surface, okay. So these are the things, basic question again on the soil erosion was asked, okay, very simple. Let's move forward. The finest and softest sheep wool in the world comes from which sheep? Try to understand, read the options properly. Wembur sheep, Merino sheep, Mecheri sheep, Dorset sheep and Corriedale sheep. Very simple. Merino sheep is one of the most productive sheep which is very well known for finest and softest sheep wool. Merino sheep is the answer. World's 80% breed of Merino sheep come from Australia, okay. So whenever animal husbandry, fisheries, horticulture, all these such topics or chapters are there, these are very, very important. Here overall breeds features or appearance, characteristics, uses, then animal husbandry products, diseases associated, breeds and their types, okay. All these things you have to cover from animal husbandry, fisheries and breeds point of view. Similarly, field crops, horticultural crops also you have to cover from the same angle. Only in animal husbandry and fisheries it would be breeds. In context of crops and plants it would be hybrids. Am I right? Let's move forward. The genetic capacity of the plant cell to produce entire plant is called as omnipotency, multipotency, totipotency, pluripotency and none of these. Very simple basic science question. I am not going to waste the time on it. You can read this even from your NCERTs. Okay, the answer here is totipotency. It is nothing but genetic potential of a plant cell to produce entire plant. Okay, so from one cell of plant you create entire plant. One cell, small cell also you are having, you can create a complete plant out of that cell. That is called as totipotency. Rest what multipotency, totipotency, pluripotency as well as multipotency are, you can read it. Okay, it's a basic science thing, we don't need to discuss more on this topic. According to the Indian Forest Report 2021, India's total forest and tree cover is dash of geographical area of the country. Options are given: 26.42%, 23.52%, 25.32%, 24.62% and 27.72%. Okay, when you look at these options, different options which are given, the answer is 24.62%. 24.62%. According to Indian Forest Report, the total forest and tree cover is 24.62%. Let's in deep see what is this important points from Indian State of Forest Report 2021. It is a biennial report. Okay, biennial means in 2 years, one time. Total forest and tree cover in the country is 80.9 million hectare. Okay, this is almost 24.62% of our total geographic area. Okay, in total there is an increase of 2,261 square kilometer of total forest, of which 1,500 square kilometer is forest cover and tree cover is 721 square kilometer. Okay, you got it? The increase in forest cover which has been observed is mostly seen in open forest. There are 3 states where forest cover is largest. First is Andhra Pradesh, followed by Telangana and Odisha. Area wise, Madhya Pradesh is the state which is having largest forest cover in the country, which follows by Arunachal, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Maharashtra. In terms of forest cover, the percentage of total geographic area, the total top 5 states are Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Manipur and Nagaland. All the facts, all the data in such way for different reports you have to cover. This was just an example. I know such similar reports are there which are very important from ARD point of view, livestock, handloom census. In similar fashion you have to prepare them. Which of the following is practiced to support plants to grow straight and save them from bending or lodging? It's nothing but if suppose this is my substrate or this is my soil, suppose these are my roots, suppose this is my plant. But you could see that my plant is not growing straight, but it is growing slant. When such bending or lodging is happening, then at that time a stick or a support could be planted and that plant could be tied along that support such that that plant becomes or grows straight. Earthing up? No. Deshooting? No. Disbunding? No. Pinching? No. Pinching is nothing but plucking. This is nothing but stalking. When I talk about stalking, it is nothing but practice to support plants so that they will grow straight and prevent them from their bending and lodging. Most commonly bamboo stakes, okay, or bamboo sticks are used for the support purposes in the stalking. Apart from that, trees like neem, subabul, falsa, eucalyptus are used for such stalking or they require stalking. Which of the following is a labor intensive farming practiced in areas of high population pressure on land? 2 important aspects. First, this is the area of high population. Okay. Second thing, this is also labor intensive farming in the sense what? This high population is major employed in agriculture. Okay, so this area is nothing but a rural area where the population is high and major part of the population is employed in agriculture. So in such area, which type of agriculture could be used? Of course, your intensive subsistence farming, not commercial, not primitive, not slash and burn, neither mixed farming. Why intensive subsistence farming? What is intensive subsistence farming? It is practiced in area where high population is there and the pressure on land is also immense. That means what? High population is there and fragmentation of land is resulting into less or lower land holding size within the community. So for example, because of the right of inheritance, okay, for example, father, son, grandson, granddaughter, whatever these lineages, along the lineages or successive generations are there, along the successive generation, there is a division of land which results into total land holding size reduction from one generation to other, and this makes agricultural activity uneconomical. And that is why intensive subsistence agriculture is nothing but a type of subsistence farming only, where it is labor intensive farming, where labor is, it is an intensive type of farming in which rather than using other inputs, labor is used maximally, because here population is high and that population is employed in agricultural activity itself. Therefore, high use of biochemical inputs, irrigation overall results into higher production of agricultural activity. The higher produce also satisfies the demand of food of the population of that particular region. At the same time, it also satiates the overall population or employment of the population which is in the agriculture. So that's why intensive subsistence farming is that agriculture which is done where the population is high, pressure on the land is high, and that population is maximally involved in the agricultural activity. Also, you could see in such rural areas, the alternative source of livelihood is not there. Okay, so this was it. Let's move to the last question. Question 30. Excessive wetness of soil causes decay and degradation of dead vegetation, forming layers of partially decomposed organic matter resulting into dash. So this is a particular type of soil. The first is alluvial soil option, the second is sandy soil, peaty and marshy soil, laterite soil and black soil. First, let's discuss about marshes. Okay, so the answer here is of course peaty and marshy soil. But what is this peaty and marshy soil? Marshes are nothing but these are those bodies which are partially or completely filled up with waters. These are neither terrestrial, neither aquatic. So these are intermediate bodies which are having waterlogged conditions. Therefore, in such waterlogged condition, as you all know, here high organic matter is there. This organic matter in presence of excessive water, here the decomposition results into the addition of organic matter, and its decomposition results into addition of organic acids into the soil and makes such soil acidic. Therefore, peaty and marshy soil would be the answer here. These are highly acidic and black in color. The decay and decomposition of dead vegetation and organic matter, and when it is decomposed partially and added along with water, it results into formation of organic acids. Okay, such type of soil you can find in the coastal states as well as in the states like Tamil Nadu, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal and other small coastal states where the waterlogging condition or maybe where the water bodies are very close to the lands. So in this way we have finished our ARD static lecture number 1. Always remember, in this overall class all the questions were easy to moderate level, but more importantly this was to analyze that how we can actually learn the art of question solving. Okay, in Nabard in similar fashion only and of similar level only question will come. This was just the first class. In second, third class you expect the difficult questions to come. Thank you and best of luck.